old kit data, which was miscalculated from I'm not going to say where I got the information and who provided it and where it was sourced. We know I can't say that. It was a leak subreddit. We are all familiar with the concept of piracy in the entertainment industry and oftentimes how game companies have failed to combat it, leaving the customers with a poor user experience and a worse product. The true solution to this problem has always remained the same, yet so few companies ever bother to take the correct approach. To paraphrase Gabe Newell, president of the Valve Corporation, piracy is a service problem, and to combat it, you must offer a better service than the pirates. I want to pivot this line of thought and look towards leak culture within the gacha space to see if there are any similarities that can be drawn to this and piracy. A leak, or more specifically, a data leak, occurs when sensitive or private information is exposed publicly, be it by intentional or by accident, and the subject matter can range from a single individual to an entire group. In the context of the gacha gaming space, leaks oftentimes refer to data or information regarding unreleased content for a respective game being shared between people without the consent or the agreement from the company. The two most common forms of leaks are beta leaks and data miners. Beta leaks occur when those directly tasked with playtesting a new game version early expose the details related to the patch. This approach is incredibly risky, as beta testers will have signed a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, and risk having legal action taken against them should they get caught. Data miners look through the game's files and dig up information related to a later game version. Not all files related to a new game version are added in on their respective patch day, and oftentimes some of it is put out in previous versions, but just not actively in use within the game at the time of installation. The marketing monolith of the games industry is built on whipping people up into insurmountable levels of hype and anticipation for the next product they're trying to sell. It's not unreasonable to expect some to go a step further and to really dig for any nugget of information that can be found out about a game. In the context of gacha games, this demand for information is multiplied in the double digits, maybe even the triple digits, as the information leaked on the regular includes valuable information that's worth its weight in gold to players.
Look at you go! What does Harvey know about you and his little bunny? Where are they? Killing is making a choice. Where are they?
Choose between one life or the other. Your friend, the district attorney, or his blushing bride to be.
You have nothing to threaten me with. Nothing to do with all your strength.
There are a plethora of things that get leaked on the regular for any given gacha game, but there are a few specific things I want to hone in on that are incredibly valuable for almost every single player. Banner release schedules for upcoming characters, character kits, balance changes and multiplier changes, character build resources, and projections of premium currency income for an upcoming patch are all incredibly valuable information for players to plan accordingly to improve their accounts. The nature of gacha games being designed heavily around artificial scarcity that can only be relieved by spending money puts players' self-interests in direct odds with the interests of the company. If these companies had it their way, you'd be unprepared currency-wise for a new character that just came out and you want them, but you will have to spend money. Following that, you would also be waiting upwards of a week or more with a character you just pulled for whom you can't use because you're still building them. That is, unless you decide to spend money for resource bundles or stamina refreshes. It's no surprise why, suffice to say, this information is actively pursued for by a lot of people. As for you story leakers, if you're leaking story spoilers, you deserve to have your Rumba run over your private parts. And if you don't own one, I'll reprogram my neighbor's Rumba to find you. So make peace with your reproductive organs while you can. He's on his way right now. I already mentioned that it's in a company's financial interests to withhold information from players if it pressures them into spending money. So let's move on to another reason. I'm sure we are all aware that gacha games never see consistent balance patches, mostly just to keep you pulling for every new character, but there's another reason for it. In a game where players can spend upwards of thousands of dollars on a single character, Nerfing them is a one-way ticket to tanking your company's reputation through the floor. Unless you're Genshin Impact, then you just spin the narrative that it was a bug fix. Because of this, beta periods for upcoming game versions will be the time where characters' stats are adjusted and balanced as necessary. Beta character data is not representative of the final stats of the character, and should this data get passed around, it could spread a false narrative of what the character was meant to be capable of as people start putting money down for them, which could create a whole nother slew of problems for the company's PR. The implemented solution we've had towards leaks is what we refer to as drip marketing, and it's the only solution I have seen. Revealing the gacha character's splash art ahead by one game version, though sometimes less than that, and that is it. Quite frankly, this does absolutely nothing to cut down on the demand for leaks, so I'm going to go ahead and provide some solutions myself. Though if I'm being realistic for a moment, none of these will likely ever happen as they require the companies to give up control in manipulating people into spending money, but let me go over them anyway. The first solution I would provide is to dramatically cut down on the number of materials in the game. Genshin Impact, for an example, to this very day, frequently releases new regional materials that still refresh on a 48-hour real-life time period. All of the materials can be farmed with resin, however, which ones a player needs to farm is withheld from them until the patch drops sometimes. This includes world boss drops, talent domain materials, and weekly boss materials. And like I just said a moment ago, this problem only gets worse when multiple character ascension materials release alongside the new character in their debut patch. You may have noticed I'm using Verisa here as an example. I came back to Genshin Impact in version 5.4, stayed to pull Verisa in 5.5, and quit again almost immediately on patch day when I noticed I will need to wait up to a week or more just to gather enough world materials to build her. And no, I'm not gonna hop from co-op world to co-op world and awkwardly beg for world materials on patch day when everyone else was doing the exact same thing. I have self-respect, and I wasn't even having fun playing Genshin when I returned anyway. If Hoyo can remove the TV mode from Zenless Zone Zero, then can we remove this abomination of a questline already? I know that this was back in version 3, but are we being serious right now? You mint pickers love this shit? The only materials you can infer Verisa would need is the gemstones, because of course, the Electro character is gonna use the Electro gemstones. But the gemstones have their own set of unique issues, mainly that you can only get them by spending resin at boss drop locations. But if you already have all the boss drops you need for ascending a character, you are just wasting resin for gemstones, at which point you feel like you are getting a worse return rate on your resin usage. Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves comparatively have a much better handle on this. These two games have not bloated their character material list, and on top of that, their drip marketing already discloses what archetype the characters are going to be so players can farm what they need and stay ahead of schedule. Girls Frontline 2 outright avoids this problem entirely, as all the materials for character progression are uniform across everyone. So there's never any confusion of what you need to gather. Just stock up the required materials as you would with any other unit and you're good to go. The only difference being the quantity of basic info cores you will need to build a 5-star character is tripled over a 4-star character, but because of the inherent value of the basic info core, you will be gathering as many as you can get your hands on anyway. The second solution is quite simple. Just be more transparent with your player base. Genshin Impact did this a little bit initially right out of the gate of version 1.0 for their subsequent game versions. This is pretty self-explanatory for both why this is good and why this likely won't happen, unfortunately, so let's just move on. The last possibility I want to mention, though I'm not sure many will agree with me on this one, is to split update cycles between game versions. Girls Frontline 2's CN version is almost a year ahead of the global version in terms of content and quality of life updates. This gives global players a massive edge in that we all already know what characters are capable of based on public data and theory crafting in the CN version. This is not without its drawbacks, however, as the global version of Girls Frontline 2 has not been following the patch cycles of the CN version. We've been getting content updates, quality of life improvements, and more importantly character banners out of order and at seemingly random. Yohi is a recent addition to the CN servers, yet was only revealed about 3 months ago, and her banner is coming to global this Thursday. On the other end of the spectrum, Lena was the game's third character banner in CN, yet has not seen the light of day in global, despite the game being out for a little over half a year now. If you are one of those people waiting for more electric characters, I am so sorry for your suffering right now. I'm sure the free-to-play crowd in particular would really benefit being able to look at a year's worth of characters and pick and choose who they want with full knowledge of who they'll get use out of for their account. Though I'm sure there will be those who will find the wait to be very agonizing. And let's not forget the CN community in all this, who likely had issues with Girls Frontline 2 in its earlier developments that us global users didn't have, as they effectively playtested the game for us. And with that, I have said all I really wanted to about leak culture in modern gacha games. Truth be told, this isn't something that will ever really go away given how gacha games are designed. There's just too much value a player can reap from going through leaks to better plan investments made for their accounts. Sometimes I wonder if gacha companies being more open with their beta processes and development could steer us towards a better direction and cut down on leak culture. But until then, this was a short video, and I'm clocking out.